Welcome to RITSEC. Week 3, so swag. Week 4 of classes. So joker. Let's go. Join the Discord, please. Very important. Very important. Join the Discord. Woo! So exciting. It should be there. Chase's thing doesn't have it. I hope this doesn't happen for the rest of the slides, or I would be very upset at Chase's computer. Please sign in. Chase is dropping the sign in. You guys can sign in. That's so swag. We're the largest academic club on campus. Sign in so we can get those numbers. Follow us on social media. It's great. Follow us on social media, our Instagram, our Twitter. Is it called X now? I don't know what it's called, but it's super fun and cool. You should follow us. Check the calendar so you know when our interest groups are, when our events are, like Lechword. That'd be great. Join our mailing list. Get our weekly newsletters created by Raina. Puts in a lot of time. Thank you for that. Feedback. We want to hear from you guys. If I'm boring, let me know. Yeah, that's the only feedback I really get. And announcements. The fun part. RITSEC, Saturday, November 4th, 2023. Be there, please. It's on the calendar. Blue team signups. Deadline Wednesday, October 4th at 11:59. This one has a QR code. You can scan it. It's also in the announcements. If you scroll up, Jack dropped the announcement this past Wednesday. So yeah. No experience required. I did it with no experience. I barely knew what system CTL meant. So you can do it. Junior Ops and Junior Tech Lead are still open. They expire next Friday at 11:59 as well. This one is Junior Ops, the orange one, because they're cool. This one is Tech Lead and boring, like Alex. Okay. And then we have RITSEC's Career Fair Eve. The virtual one is this upcoming Monday. Virtual, wear like a polo shirt. You'll get like a background to use. And it'll just be through Zoom. You'll be let in and out of Zoom meetings to have interviews with some of our sponsors. And then in person will happen in this room. And you guys will come in and be able to meet in person with some of our sponsors who are specifically here to hire you, RITSEC members, which is great. Social events. This weekend we have Lisa's apple picking. If you want to sign up, you can. It's great. And then next weekend we have the RITSEC Letchworks trip, which is really fun. We have rideshare forms, so you can figure out if you need a ride, if you don't have a car, if you want to carpool with somebody specifically. Fill that out here. Very fun, great events. Application open now. So as part of our RITSEC, we have our A board, which is the Junior Ops lead and the Junior Tech lead positions. We also have web admin. Kenny, do you want to talk about the position? Mr. Vice President will talk about the position now. Your QR code's so funky.
Yeah, it's orange. So basically, you know how we have those really cool swagger websites? You'll be in charge of that. It's pretty simple, really. You'll be responsible for updating and managing the website, implementing any new changes you need to know. What was I think it was like HTML, JavaScript, CSS, all those cool, funky languages that I don't know. But yeah, if you're into web dev and you like that stuff, please apply. We're looking for new people. You'll be under the command of me. And I will be the one that runs your pull requests. Okay, thank you.
Please sign up to do it. I don't like posting the weekly slides. I still don't know how to do it. And having a web admin, they do it for me, which is great. Second position, Sophie, I don't see her, so I will go over it. This is social media head. You can apply. It's due the same day as web admin. You'd be under the position of PR, which is Sophie Larson, if you've seen her around or were here the first week. It's great. You basically take pictures or get pictures from other people who have taken them during events, and you post funny little things. Have your little fun social media posts. You'll at people on stories, repost things that our students are doing. And it's great. It's really a fun time. And if you are interested at all with any of the marketing, it's pretty good. Then we have an event happening on Thursday, October 5th. It's Red Team Recruiting and WESIS. It's a speaker event. Stella Lee, Head of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Accessibility. She will be doing a event here in Golisano at 1400. That's a big atrium right down the hall, big auditorium. And it'll be, I believe, an allyship and unconscious bias workshop, and then we'll hopefully have another one in the spring. I would really recommend going because it's a really fun time, and Stella's a great speaker. So that's great. And now that we're done with announcements, the sponsors! Clap it up for the sponsors. Woo! Woo! And without further ado, we have our week 3 presentation, Career Fair Prep, in prep for the Career Fair and Career Fair Eve happening next week from Chase Killorin and Cipriana Sorenson. Woo! Clap it up. Sippy, we are kind of mad because our little mushy claps. I think you have the first 2 on my side.
Oh, we're so back. All right. So, in preparation for Career Fair, we are presenting Career Fair Prep. So this is me. I'm the head of research. My name is Chase. I like bagels. You can read that. Some fun pictures.
We're going to be passing the mic back and forth the entire time, so apologies in advance. So I'm technically a 4th year, but I graduate next fall. I'm from California. I do shit with the club, which is the 3rd bullet point. I also do things for conferences, which is the 4th bullet point. And then I like to do things other than computers, because it's good to get out of the terminal once in a while.
So to start off, I gotta have some credentials. So these are my co-op experience. Last year at Career Fair Eve, I interviewed this little company called Etiquette. Everything went well. They didn't see past my BS, and they hired me. And over the summer, I made little CTF challenges. I think from my experience with Contagion, which is probably one of the main reasons they picked me. Simon, the person who hired me, was actually an RITSEC alum, so the chain follows up. Use it for your advantage. And for this year, I'm working on a couple things. I'm in contact with a couple companies, and hopefully I'll get something in the bag soon. Yeah.
All right, this is my work experience. I crossed out the year levels because I'm a transfer student, so I transferred in with 2 years of computer science experience at my previous school, which was really helpful for getting co-op. So I pulled this off, but if you're not having an easy time getting a co-op, don't feel bad. That's my point with the crossed out stuff here. But my first co-op was with Chameleon Consulting Group, and I was a software engineer. They told me I could work on security stuff too, which did not end up happening. And it turns out that I really don't like pure swan. So that was something that was good to understand about myself. And then this past summer, I was also a software engineering intern, which is not really what I was doing, but that's okay. But it was super cool. My team was awesome. The work was really cool. And I had to build a thing called Petalinux from scratch. And that was the bane of my existence for 3 months. But it worked out. And then now I'm an incident response analyst. This is very new. I started at the beginning of the month, so I'm not going to talk too much about it because I'm still getting oriented. But that's my work experience. I'll just go over this. Okay, so what we're going to cover with you guys today is kind of how to start building a career in general, and we have a few sections to address that. The big ones are how to prepare for getting a job, finding the job, and what to do once you have the job to not get fired. And now we're going to talk about resumes.
Yeah, so there are many ways to go about your resume. You may hear a lot of people talking about Credle or Overleaf. They're two popular ways to make your resume. Credle is something that you just throw in all your information, and then you select a template, and it just fills it out all for you, all nice. That's pretty good for beginning stuff to get all your ideas out there. And some other ways are Google Docs. You know, they have a resume function. You can throw stuff in there. It's a bit customizable. How I did mine was through HTML. Last year, Max Lesser did a visual talk on HTML resume. I took that art and made one of my own. And it worked, so I guess it's good. But really, like HTML and Overleaf, which uses LaTeX, which is just like a formatting thing, like Markdown, it gives you a lot more customizability. So that's more of like an advanced kind of thing that you can work on as you go on. Cradle is pretty good for beginners, and Google Doc is like, I don't know. Yeah, so the typical resume format is going to be your objective, which is like, I'm seeking co-op for the summer of 2024. Your education, try not to put like your high school on it, and it's going to be like you and your degree now at RIT. Skills is going to be your general like computer skills. Any prior work experience, even if you don't have like a co-op or anything, you know, you could put on your lifeguarding job, you know, as well. Any activities like the club, like is a big draw. You can just put all the interest groups in there and things like that. Projects, competitions, RITSEC, any conferences, ShmooCon will be coming up, all to your experience. So I'll go more in depth with that.
All right, so in terms of your resume, the first thing, besides like your name and contact information at the top, below that should be your objective. So like when you're handing this resume out to people, why do they care, and like what are you looking for so they can help you get a job if they have jobs for you? Because if you don't communicate clearly, then everybody's confused and they don't realize that you're like looking for a co-op as opposed to full-time. So I think mine is something like seeking a summer 2024 internship in security engineering or something like that. So it's like very simple. You can also customize it to jobs. So if you're like applying to like a red teaming job, you could say like pen testing instead of security engineering, or say you want a blue team, security or incident response analyst, something like that. Yeah. And then education. So obviously you're here, you're getting a degree, put that on your resume. Tell them your expected graduation year. If you have a minor, you can put your GPA on there if it's high. My GPA is not on there because it's not super high. You can also, actually, I wouldn't, certifications in the, I don't know, that could apply. You could put certifications in the education section depending on what they are. You could also make another section. And then you can list relevant coursework, and this can be helpful for you when you're really early in your career, like say you're a freshman or a sophomore applying. It's nice if you can list like, you know, you took sysadmin or routing and switching, you took GSYS like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4. And that gives you more to talk about if you don't have technical work experience, which is okay.
And you know, you can always elaborate on things more in like an interview or things like that. And overall, like they're gonna do a holistic evaluation on you. Like not having your GPA is not gonna like be like a dramatic list. So for your skills, so you definitely don't want to fly on this part. If you put something down like C, C++, and you don't know it, they start asking you questions about it, and you can't answer, that doesn't look very good. So you can generalize like what you know most, the least. You can talk about all the like programming languages you know, what you're learning in your classes, different tools like Wireshark, put that on there. You can put soft skills on there like communication and like working well in teams, but that's something you really want to demonstrate through things like your work experience and your activities. You want to leave those off of skills. These are more technical skills. Yeah, and definitely like customize it to your job. Yeah, for general work experience, you know, you want to have your most recent at the top and everything old at the bottom. You want to state things like designed, created, kind of these like past tense verbs. You don't want to be like still managing, because it's like proper grammar, things like that. You don't have a spelling mistake in that. Yeah, definitely name drop anything you use on the job, and really try to like exemplify like what you've done.
I'll add to that.
So if you happen to be doing work that you can't talk about what exactly it is because it's classified or for some other reason, you can still put your work experience on your resume unless like you're at a black site or something, clear with your boss, which you won't be at a black site for your job. But you can put things like this is what I did and not say what it was for. Like you can be vague in that sense and still communicate the skill set you have, but not be leaking secrets. So, yeah. And then, yes, okay, activities, projects, extracurriculars generally. So, if you're part of a group like RITSEC, you put that on there. You can also list interest groups, especially if they're relevant to the job posting. And this is good because it shows you are passionate about security and you're engaged and you actively learn on your own. And interviewers really tend to like that. And then personal projects are also fantastic for the same reason, because it shows you're going after improving your skills. It shows what you're learning, and then it gives you things to talk about in the interview and showcase your problem-solving skills. And then same sort of thing with competition. So, and this is, even if you're not competing, say you're like a challenge author in a CTF, or you even help white team at like RITSEC, put that on there because you're volunteering, you're doing good stuff, you're being engaged with the community. And then conferences are a similar idea, although like conferences, they're really good for learning. They might not be, if you see a talk that's like applicable to the job you're applying to, that can be good to talk about. So throw it on there because it's another thing to have a conversation about. And then if you do research and you present about it here or somewhere else, list that also.
Shameless plug. You know, if you're in a little mentorship group, write it down. You know, there's some cool projects you'll be doing, and you know they'll see that drive, and do research presentations. So some things to keep in mind when creating your resume. To start early, it can be kind of hard to like dump everything you know out in like 30 minutes before the career fair while you're like trying to print it out in DSP. So you want to actually like ask yourself like, what kind of job do I actually want to do? You can definitely like ask like other upperclassmen like what their experience has been working a job XYZ. You can research the role that you're applying for. You can talk to people at the company. And then definitely customize your resume to the posting. If it's something like the career fair, you can be a little more general with that because you're going to be applying to maybe like 20 or so companies in person. So, this is my resume. It's a little example. It's the one I made in HTML. It is a little splash of color. It has 2 columns, which sometimes those are recommended because of the automatic like resume scanning stuff. Kind of messes up sometimes. But every time I've submitted it to something that like auto fills out an application, it reads fine. So, but having distinct columns, like good brief descriptions, that's still going depth of what you've done. And you don't want something too flashy. Like I wouldn't really add any more color than this, but seeing like black and white resumes, I kind of like adding a little color. It makes it stand out a little.
All right, here's my resume. So it has a lot of, lines of words, but the big sections are education, experience, and professional memberships, and then technical skills. And I have my community college on there against the advice of more than one person, but I have it on there because it literally got me both of my previous jobs because of the computer science experience. So it's staying on there for now. And then I have more work experience than this, but this is the most relevant work experience. It's the most hard-hitting technically, and also you have limited space. So that's what I have on there. It's okay to change what's on your resume over time as you get more experience. Maybe you can't fit your high school job anymore. That's fine. And then professional memberships. So I do things. The CTF team I'm on is on there. So is my staff stuff for conferences. And you'll notice that with each of these sections, I give a description about like kind of what the thing is and how I contributed. And this is important because, and it's hard to like get the wording down to be brief enough, but it's important because, your average recruiter doesn't necessarily know about all the acronyms and organizations we have in the security community. So if you give them a little context and then you tell them why it's cool, they will be more excited about your resume experience.
If you can get past HR and then some more technical review resume, then it's a little better.
Yeah.
But for preparing for the job prior, your online presence is pretty important. Having a LinkedIn is kind of just like, you should have one. You should all download LinkedIn right now, make an account. You can throw that on your resume. And then you can just add more stuff to your LinkedIn, all your experience, kind of the same general stuff you have on your resume, but you can go in a little more detail if you have more space. Your GitHub, if you have projects you're working on in your class, literally from my computer science class last year, I just added them all to my public GitHub. And so anytime anyone looks there, they just see all the cool projects I've done. And if you have research that you've done and it was streamed, then it's posted to YouTube. And if they look up your name, maybe they'll find it. Yeah, so this is an example LinkedIn from Kayla. It proves that it's like a good picture of her, picture of her with other people. Some of her activities that she's done, working from her past work experience at AWS. The little about section explaining that she graduated from RIT. It's like I'm a current student, first year at RIT, getting a BS in cybersecurity, things like that. You got to be advertisable. And this is the kind of example of a LinkedIn that isn't so good. This is a little throwback to a certain competition last year or this year in the spring. It's kind of like a really deep fried picture. This doesn't even pick a banner. They're connected to Anthony. It's just amazing cat model all around, role model. Everyone wants to be me. This is kind of like narcissistic. Doesn't seem like someone you would want to hire. And the activity is just this weird posting from buying stocks. I'd avoid something like this.
Okay, so your GitHub. This is a good place to put all your personal projects, any open source software you contribute to. And we have Brad's here as an example because it's really good. He has just a lot of stuff up on here. He does a lot of work on his own time, and it's great for his skill set. And he has lists of what languages he works with. He has GitHub stats. That's fancy. And you can go look at all of his public projects.
Yeah, and you see this little link right here, gprm.itsdg.in. This allows you to build a template like this. You just go to the link from your stuff, and then it'll make all these statistics, make it colorful, make yourself look good. And oh my gosh. I'm on here. Look at that. But yeah, for the presentations that you've done, you'll have it on YouTube, and it's your entire presentation. And I'd say it looks pretty good. And if you don't have a picture idea for your LinkedIn profile, maybe it's you standing up at a podium. That looks pretty good.
Mm-hmm. All right, so career fairs. How do you actually get a job once you have a resume and stuff? How do you look as sharp as these two guys? So we have a bunch coming up. We have the Career Fair Eve, which RITSEC runs, and it's fantastic because companies that have a relationship with the club come out, and they're interested specifically in hiring RITSEC students. So you're competing against fewer people. You're also talking to people who already care about the club, know what kind of things we do, and understand that you being involved means you have some technical skill. And then, so that's like That's what, next Tuesday? Or is that? Yeah, it's next Tuesday. And then there's the career fair that RIT runs, which is also fantastic. It runs all day Wednesday of next week. It's a long day, so wear comfortable shoes, have printed out resumes with you, and be ready to give your 1 to 2 minute elevator pitch about who you are and why they should hire you. And then there's also the WeSys virtual career fair, which if you're a woman or woman adjacent, this is great. You can participate if you're a WeSys member. And that happens in the spring. And then there's the WeSys conference, which people come away with tons of job offers from. So that's fantastic.
Yeah. So going more in depth on the elevator pitch, this is going to be your first introduction when you're talking to someone at the career fair. And you want to be like, hi, my name is Chase. I'm a second-year cybersecurity student. You can talk about you participating in RITSEC. A lot of companies coming in are going to know RITSEC because a lot of their hires are from that. And then you can elaborate on some of your work experience, some projects, things like that. Clarify your objective that you're looking for a co-op. You're going to be handing them your resume so they can always double check your things. And also be a real person. Don't just be a robot reading off a script. You want to. You can ask them how the day is. They're people too. They're recruiters. They're coming all the way out from wherever they are to spend their time with students. So you don't want to disrespect their time. And it's a little different for the virtual career fair. It's a little copy paste with the elevator pitch. You're gonna have the list of companies beforehand for career fair eve. Definitely search the companies, learn a little bit more about what they do, know what job you're applying for. That's important if you're talking to them. And they're like, so you're interested in being a sysadmin here? And they're like, oh, I thought this was a penetration testing job. And definitely wear a nice shirt. You're on a Zoom call, but still be presentable. Nice shirt, rude pants. I would suggest also wearing pants during your Zoom meeting. And have your camera on. Not having it on is a bit of a red flag. You want to be how you would in person.
All right, so for both virtual and in-person career fairs, and this applies to Career Fair Eve too. So for virtual career fairs, generally there's a list of what companies are going to show up and what the job postings are. And this is true of RIT's career fair also. It's a huge list of companies to wade through, but I think you can sort by fields. You could be computer science and then go from there. And this is on Career Connect, if I remember right. This is really helpful because you can research the companies, but you can also apply to the job before you talk to them, so they already have your resume, and it looks really good to go up to whoever's at the RIT career fair. You give them your elevator pitch, you're like, here's my resume, what jobs do you have available, that kind of thing. They're like, oh, they almost always say this, apply online. And you can be like, I already did that. And they'll be like, oh, awesome. I'll make a note that you talked to me at the career fair, and that's points in your favor. And then interviews, the scary part. So, the biggest advice I have for interviews is to think about it like a conversation between you and whoever's interviewing you. It's not, if you think about it like it's a test or they're trying to make you fail, it's a lot more stressful, and that's also not the case with the vast majority of companies and interviewers. They want to get to know you, they want to kind of get a feel for if you can work well in a team, and they want to understand how your technical problem solving is. So focus on showcasing those things, and then make sure you can talk about everything on your resume. And it's good to be able to talk about, times you've succeeded, times you've failed, and why, how you've improved over time, and how you handle questions you don't know the answers to. Because if you're doing a technical interview, there will be a point, almost definitely, if the interviewer is doing their job properly, where you're like, I have no idea what the answer to that question is. Or you might be like, I don't even know what that word is. And that's okay. You can tell them, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to research it. Can you tell me a little bit about it? Or if you're not sure how to solve a problem, this is huge. talk your way through it. Like, talk as much as possible when you're interviewing, because the interviewer doesn't know what's going on inside your head. You have to help them. And even if you don't get the question right, they care more about seeing your problem solving. So talk.
I definitely was asked in my interview what the difference between encoding and encryption was, and that was a little bit difficult to answer at the time. But after I worked with them for a couple of minutes, we got to the bottom of it. So there's another type of interview being a behavioral interview. They're going to ask you a lot more questions to see how you would behave in a situation. And then there's this STAR method, which is situation, task, action, and result.
All right. So to expand a little bit on what STAR interviewing is, or the strategy is, it's very good for addressing like how you've contributed to teams in the past, how you are working with a group, and also your ability to affect change in a positive way with whatever team you're on. So the format is you explain the situation, like, what were you working on? What's the project, or what situation were you in? And what were you tasked with is like the second bullet point. So you might say that like the situation was your team needed help improving the development environment and automating certain processes. So the task is maybe automating something with Docker, so your build process is less of a pain. And then the action is what you contributed to fixing the problem. So maybe you successfully wrote a Docker file that automated the build process for your project, and this made everyone's lives a lot easier. Made testing easier. Talk about what it fixed in the results section. And that's kind of the big idea here. All right. So in the technical interview, they're focused on your technical problem-solving skills. You gotta, or I would highly recommend brushing up on your technical skills before the interview, like super basic things, like if they're interested in like C programming, like brush up on your C syntax. And in general, read through the job posting, see what they reference technical skills wise in there, and learn about it. Make sure you can talk about it. It looks better for you, and it's,
So some of the common questions that they'll ask is, what is the OSI model? Can you name the 7 layers or the 4 of TCP?
For sure.
They might ask you the difference between TCP versus UDP. This is stuff you'll be learning in your CSEC 140 class, something you might want to brush up on. The difference between DNS and DHCP, what those acronyms actually stand for. And be honest with what you know. Like, they're going to see through your BS most of the time. And they don't expect you to know everything. You are an intern. You're supposed to be learning. You're still a student, and it's fine. In the interview, it's definitely half of it may be them asking you questions, and then they might open it up to you to ask them questions. So you can get like personal. Be like, hey, why did you pick company X to work at? What do you like about it? What has your experience been? What does the average day look like? Does the team have like good communication? How is the work culture there? It's an average question. What are the opportunities to grow while working? Do they have a sort of mentorship program? Will you be assigned someone to look after you? You can have good contact with your supervisor throughout. And a lot of the times, companies will actually pay for interns to get your certifications and for training and things like that. It's definitely take advantage of that opportunity, because not every place does it. Just some general things of what CISOs are looking for is communication, collaboration, curiosity, being open to learn new things and to grow upon yourself like in the job, because they can teach you the technical skills and how to actually do the things you need to do on the job, but they can't teach you how to ask for questions. They can't teach you how to reach out and ask for help. That's something you got to come in showing that you can. You know, they're looking for your general skill set, your passion to grow and learn, confidence in what you're doing, confidence in what you know versus what you don't. You know, your communication and your ability to work in a team are very big. They don't want to hire someone that like they wouldn't want to be friends with. You know, they don't want to hire someone who's a little meanie pants who doesn't like help others.
All right.
Yeah.
So here we have Bingus again, helping you understand what interviewers are looking for.
And it's not this.
It's not this. Oh, that's just misplaced. That's
No.
fine. Okay, how to not get fired. That's our actual section here. So, you gotta read the hiring paperwork and the contract you're signing all the way through. If you're not sure, what the legal language means, ask an upperclassman. If your parents would know, ask your parents. You can also go to the career office and be like, Michelle McGee, please help me understand this. She will help you. And then you should also read the employee handbook all the way through once you're on the job, because it'll tell you what the company's expectations are for interns generally, and what pitfalls to be aware of, because it's pretty hard to get fired as an intern. But say if you refuse to wear your badge at work and are therefore causing a problem for the security of the building, that will get you fired. So understand what the rules are, and follow them. And then also reading the employee handbook will just generally help you get a feel for company culture. All right, work etiquette, more how to not get fired. So talk to your team. You can ask this in the interview. You can also ask it once you're on the job. What expected work hours are, what etiquette is if you have a problem, say you get sick and you can't show up. And if that does happen, communicate it to your team. It's never bad to communicate more. Default to that. And then you can also ask about what to wear to the office. Sometimes, it really depends on the company, especially in our industry. It can be business casual or even fairly formal. It could also be that they're fine with jeans and a t-shirt. But you got to read the room and ask, so you're not sticking out in a bad way. If you're remote, you can have the Zoom fit. So you got your pajama pants and then a button-up shirt or something. That's cool. Also, get enough sleep. I read a study 5 years ago at this point, but the point of the study was if you're not sleeping enough, your ability to retain and learn information effectively is way, way worse. So you're there to learn, sleep enough so you can learn, and also so you're not napping at your desk. And be appropriate. So avoid inappropriate conversations. Don't cross boundaries with people at work. That's a huge red flag. And understand that everyone has their own comfort level, and that varies. This is also sort of a read the room thing. See what, people on your team, people in the office are, how they're acting, how they speak. Because there's some offices where, say, they would be quite uncomfortable and disapprove if you're swearing, which, fair enough. If you're on my team that I was on this summer, where half the team is ex-Navy, they don't care. So just understand the culture and then follow it.
You're usually not going to talk to your supervisor like you would your friends at home. Maybe you end up playing a few games of chess with your supervisor, but I wouldn't do that with my supervisor. Feedback is definitely important when you're on the job. Asking for feedback shows that you want to improve, and it shows that you're not just hitting your head with the same issues. You can use the feedback to guide you on where to go forward. They don't want to see their intern struggle. They want you to succeed. They don't want you to be down in the gutter. And with that feedback, actually take action. Because if you said you're going to do something and you don't end up doing it, then that just looks bad for you. having this open line with like your manager, supervisor, having that communication with them, like shows them that you're actually trying and you're not just like some hooligan that's just like smacking this computer when the manager's not looking. And for when you get the job, networking. So be able to, when you're talking with your coworkers, be able to like, talk to yourself, things like that. You be able to ask them, they're not like, you don't have to be coworkers all the time, you can still be friends, but know the boundaries. You can ask them about their hobbies, things like that, get to know them. And then you can ask them about their roles, get some more information on the companies, and you can learn more about the jobs you do like and you don't. And it doesn't hurt to connect with the people that you work with. After my job, I connected with my supervisor, the CEO, a couple of my coworkers, things like that. You can ask them how everything's going, if they still work there, and don't be a robot. You can ask like how they're doing, how this one project that is really like being a pain has been going on, and this can lead to you getting more opportunities. If maybe they want you back for another summer, if one of your coworkers found this wanted to do a new startup and they're calling you in, maybe that's a good opportunity, or maybe it's not. And for social events within your company, not every company will have this. If you're remote, you're probably not going to go like out rock climbing like by yourself on a Zoom call or something. But these are good opportunities you want to look out for to connect with your coworkers, be friends. When you're on your co-op, you don't want it to just be 8 hours. You're working and then you sleep and then back it again. It breaks the monotony sometimes. And then you can always, hey, what's your name?
All right. So I wrote out a bunch of questions about reflecting on your co-op experience, because there's a tendency to be like, oh my gosh, I got a job. No way. It was the best thing ever, which is totally fair. But it's also okay to, ask yourself questions about what you want your career direction to be. If the job you had will help you get there, can you move to what you want to do in the organization? That kind of stuff. So to that end, did you enjoy the work? Like, was it good for you intellectually? Did you grow your skill set? Were you bored? And then was your team supportive? This is a big one. If you have say you have a family emergency during the summer, how do they handle that? Are they take care of your people? We appreciate you being here, but take care of your people? Or are they you're a bad person because you're not here all the time despite this thing happening? And that, who do you want to work with in the future? What do you want the vibe to be? What went well? What went badly? In terms of both, your interactions with people, but also your technical work. Maybe you had to give a presentation at the end of the co-op. How did that go for you? And then in terms of question asking, which is a big one, did you ask enough questions? And was your team supportive of you asking questions and helpful with their answers? And then last 2 bullet points, what do you think about the office team and company culture? And what experience do you want next year? Do you want to keep going in the same direction, or do you want to try something else? Let's see this. That's the
Yeah, and at the end of your co-op, when you report it to RIT, it will, you'll be asked questions on how your co-op was. You'll fill out a whole form. This will help you get your ideas out. And your employer will also fill out a form on how you did. That's some feedback you can take, to grow and move forward with. And after maybe the career fair, you want to bolster your rapport a little more. You can have a personal website or have an active Twitter or X. This is Adam's personal website. He gave a presentation 2 weeks ago, actually. It's a good explanation. It has like links to his emails, LinkedIn, his resume, GitHub, everything like that. If they look up your name.com, they can get more information on you, and it's a little more professional. And having a Twitter, it's a little contentious. This is not something you really need as a first year. But having something where you respond to like companies going on, keeping up to date in like the cybersecurity world, things like that is valuable. And that's kind of where you want to move forward after like the career fair, after you've worked at a company once. And that's it. Are there any questions on resumes, interviews, anything like that? If you have any questions, you can always message us on Discord.
I will.
You will? Thank you, Nathan. All right. Well, thank you then.